Do we dyslexics have superpowers, special talents and abilities that non-dyslexics don't have? This is a story that became popular in the last few decades, and I believe that you might lack some important information for you to make up your own mind about this. Most of the things that I'm going to tell you I found while writing my MA thesis on the topic of dyslexia in 2020. And since then, I've been thinking of different ways to present this information to you. Personally, I often felt like these dyslexic strengths and abilities don't really line up with my own lived experience. And I also get the feeling that this very positive narrative unintentionally also tends to invalidate the negative experiences that we dyslexics go through. And sometimes I think it can be more important to make the dyslexic feel seen than to push a more positive framing of dyslexia. So now let's put my personal feelings about this aside and let's compare what people say dyslexic advantages are and what research has actually verified. A claim that is often made is that we dyslexics have superior visual-spatial abilities. In the book The Dyslexic Advantage, you find an entire chapter written on this topic, and there they write things like this. Mental reasoning, the M strength, consists primarily of abilities in areas that can be termed spatial reasoning, which has often been recognized as an area of special talent for many individuals with dyslexia. There's actually quite a lot of research on this topic, and this meta-analysis of 28 studies, including 956 dyslexics, came to the following results. Dyslexia is associated not only with a lower mean performance on visual-spatial tasks, but also with greater variability in performance. These results are not what I was hoping for, and already it clearly contradicts what is being stated in the book The Dyslexic Advantage. But I do think that it's worth to take one more look at an additional meta-analysis. They took a look at 21 peer-reviewed articles, and overall they came to the same conclusion. However, they say there's one exception, and the exception would be in holistic visualization of complex figures, because they found that dyslexics tend to be faster when it comes to those tasks. So even though there is this exception, you are being told things that are generally incorrect according to research. And that bothers me, and I thought you should know about it. Now there is an updated version of this book, and maybe they took some of these things out, but given the credibility of the old version, I wasn't really willing to spend the money on the new one. Well, let's move on to the next book, The Gift of Dyslexia, and take a look at a statement from there. There they talk about 8 different dyslexic abilities, and they say that as long as they're not destroyed or invalidated during childhood, they will result in higher than average intelligence and extraordinary creative abilities. Now let's take a look at the second part of this claim, where they say that we are extraordinary creative. So let's take a look at the research. So also here I have 2 meta-studies for you, and they took a look at over 1,000 dyslexic individuals, and overall they came to the conclusion that it's not really a thing. So we do not have any evidence to support the claim that we dyslexics are more creative or have a special creative ability compared to non-dyslexics. However, if we just look at dyslexic adults, we do see that we tend to perform better on creative tasks. And the researchers explained this by pointing to the fact that creativity is actually something that can be trained. So current research strongly disagrees with the statement made in the book The Gift of Dyslexia. But, this research wasn't available when this book was written. And maybe we just haven't really looked in the right places yet. Maybe the methods that researchers are using to find dyslexic strengths aren't working for dyslexics. These are all options, but this still leaves us with the question, how do we support dyslexic individuals that struggle with low self-esteem? And I think one way we can do this is simply by focusing on individual strengths and talents. Just because research tells us that we as a dyslexic group are not especially gifted when it comes to visual-spatial abilities or our creative talents does not mean that you as an individual are not really creative. You might be incredibly talented in that area, or maybe your strengths lie elsewhere. But the point is, it will be a good idea to become more aware of your personal talents and abilities. One way you can do this is by listing all your positive experiences and actions. And all these things will then point to your qualities and your strengths and talents. Now try to not push any of them aside. Try not to make them smaller. I know this is easier said than done, but give it a try. I tried it and I actually really enjoyed it. Now I would like to hear from you. How do you feel about all the non-scientific information flying around? Do you mind? Would you say I missed something and I need to consider other factors? I would love to discuss with you in the comments below. As always, thank you for watching and see you in the next one. Bye.